Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Mac.
And today we're giving our first impressions of Tir na Nog, I believe is how it's pronounced. And this is a game coming from Grand Gamers Guild. I think they've put out some good games that we've had in the past. And I was very excited about this one. I almost backed it when it was on crowdfunding, but didn't end up pulling the trigger. And luckily it was in retail after the fact, so I got a copy almost immediately when it was released. Which
Nice.
I think was at... I think its release was Gen Con this year, or right around that time. I don't know if it was technically at Gen Con, but around that time was when it was released.
Sure.
And yeah, at the same time, they're actually running as of filming this, I think it's like the last day. Who knows when this is actually going to go up? But this is like the last day. They're running like a reprint. I think it's a Kickstarter or it's Game Founder Kickstarter. I don't remember. With some additional content and stuff that you can get as well, or a chance to get the game. And yeah, if you're watching this after the fact, maybe there's a late pledge option. I would say that I would be willing to say you should buy it. Just going to get right into that. I don't know about... We'll see what Michaela has to say.
Oh boy.
And we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Completely
But
and utterly disagree.
just in case that's all you were here to see, I would say yes. Give her a shot. But this one is a drafting game and a kind of a tableau building game. Mm-hmm. It's just a puzzle game that you're trying to meet requirements that are built out for your tableau, which will be a 3x5 grid typically. Yeah. And yeah, it's a pretty simple game, or like if you've played other drafting games and things before, it's simple in concept of what you're doing, and maybe a worker placement game or two if you've played that. Sure. Probably a combination of those things. It makes a lot of sense because during the game, really all you're doing is kind of building that tableau, and to do that, there's kind of a grid of cards that are out, and depending on player count, it's a different amount. And then you get these little
Storytellers
that you'll put kind of between two of the cards, so that it's touching two either on their sides, or I guess all of them are sides. But you can't like do it out to the outside, can't go in like the corners. Typically, there are some cards that you can get in the game that allow you to do kind of special placement rules, but otherwise you're just kind of placing on two cards, and then kind of once everyone drafts that way in kind of clockwise order, then starting with the player right of the kind of start player that did that, gets to, in reverse counterclockwise order, start picking up cards, and you can pick up one of the two that your storyteller is touching. So it's kind of an interesting, unique way of drafting, where you're kind of trying to hedge your bets of, okay, I really want that card, but I guess if someone else takes it, which other card next to that card would I want the most?
Yep.
And then potentially both cards could get taken. There's that potential, and then you kind of just get what's left over. Lost storyteller. And yeah, so that's very simple, and then kind of once you do that, you initially start with a hand of cards, and kind of add that to your hand of cards, and then you can place, going from left to right, into your tableau. So you're picking one up, putting one down. It's just a very kind of simple thing that you're doing, but I would say by the end of it, it was quite puzzly, trying to be like, okay, I gotta do this number here, but that could influence kind of another goal, and you're looking, because like one of them that we had, you wanted it to be a unique number in the row and column that it's in, so kind of trying to make sure, if I put this here, is there another 8 already there, because then neither of the 8 score, and that could be very detrimental if you accidentally mess that up, or
then
even
to further
misunderstand.
complicate it, some of the cards have special abilities and or could change their number and or color. So
Yes.
then you're like playing with, okay, well if I put this here that changes that, and then do I have that number? Like inadvertently, does that do something? If I change the color, is that good or bad? Like some of those things to add to the more interesting pieces of getting them out in the tableau in the way you want.
I found it really cool that you could have those cards that could change it, but yes,
Agree.
it did come down to, like, especially towards the end, like, and that row of trying to keep them different, I had a couple that changed numbers based off things, and like being like, oh shoot, but if I do that, then that's going to change that number to this. And I don't want that to happen. So yeah,
Yes,
you get yourself into situations.
You have to be very aware of your 15
Yes.
cards.
But it is a fun thing that it does.
Yeah.
It's fun that it's not like just a static, like, you
Yeah.
got this color, this number.
Right.
That's just what it is.
Might as well play with just a deck of 52 then.
Right. Because, you're trying to. There's 4 different colors that you're trying to create kind of the biggest groups as well for some bonus points, typically. I think in the Kickstarter, I tried to look a little bit to see what it was. And I think they changed kind of what that did exactly.
Oh.
So that it was. I don't know, like once you'd get kind of a pair of colors together, you'd kind of get, I think it was like some bonus or something. Definitely go check that out if it's still even an option to late back. I don't know if it will be or not. But if that sounds interesting to you and the whole game sounds interesting, it might be worth looking at it there.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that being a little more interesting because,
Whoops.
as you found, she had like almost all green. Her whole thing
Yeah.
was almost all green, and really,
Yeah.
me and Abby, I think, had like 1 green, and we still got like second place, or maybe we didn't get qualified. But I mean, if we had gotten second place, we would have only gotten 5 less points than what you got for
Yeah.
getting a whole thing.
Yeah, it
So
makes
managing
sense.
those
I
colors.
just thought it was like the biggest, like,
Yeah,
kudos
it
to
was
you
first
for
play.
getting the biggest one, but it meant biggest in every color.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, well, that makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of sounded like in the expansion that would have been something more, unless I was
Mm-hmm.
misreading it. So I thought, that could be cool, but we'll see. Hopefully that'll come to retail as well. I did not back it
Uh-oh.
for just the expansion. So
Kicking yourself.
I think after that first play, it probably gave us one like an 8 or 8.25. I really enjoyed what it was doing. I always like these kind of puzzles, and there's when you kind of take something that's just a common mechanism of, I would say it's somehow a combination of worker placement and drafting, which
Yeah.
I don't know is too common. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'm just totally not thinking of worker placement where you're drafting. If you can think of any games that kind of combine those two things together, let me know, because it feels like a really cool thing, and it works really cool in here, I think. And yeah, the puzzle part of it, because the cards have kind of those, some of them have bonus effects, I think that all works together really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd probably give it an 8. So I think it comes on pretty strong. The only thing I don't know about is long term, the top, middle, and bottom row cards. Do they always stay the same? Is it always the same score conditions on those
No,
ones?
remember those stacks of the different
Oh,
cards?
no, I didn't see the stacks.
So those are the ones that it said to start with.
I see. Gotcha.
But then, like, everyone will have the same, I believe. It'll just
Yeah.
be kind of different.
I see.
I
Okay.
don't know how many
I was
options
like,
there are.
if
but it
they're
would
the
be a
same
different-
once over and over again, you're going to get really
That's true.
good at figuring out how to score
That's true.
for the one lower than the one on the left and all those numbers. But
That's true.
Yes, no, that's good to know then. Yes, so then perfect. 8.
Yep, I'm hoping that they'll be interesting. I did not look at those, so
Yeah.
I guess I'm
I'm sure they
hoping
will
they
be.
will be interesting enough that it presents some replayability. But
I'm sure they will be.
yeah, I think I could see why they would already have kind of expansion content for this one potentially, because
Yeah.
I could see how you just add maybe some new card effects and stuff, or different, even like different scoring things, just
Yeah.
to kind of add to it. It's kind of a simple thing, like makes me think of like a Tiny Towns, where it's just like
Yeah.
just throw in some more scoring conditions for different buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and this throw in new
And
ones
there
for
you go.
different columns or rows.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a really good time with this one. So I was very excited that it paid off really well, and I think it seems like it's going to be a really quick game too.
Yeah. I think I agree.
Even at the higher player, it goes up to 5 players. And I think even that would, I mean, it says 30 to 45 minutes here. I think if everyone's played it, I could see it being, I mean, maybe not
Yeah.
45 minutes, but an hour, which I think for what you're getting out of the game is pretty good return on time investment.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it will be, especially if you played it a few times. What ends up happening, I think, is after a while your tableau's kind of set, and it's like
You gotta go with what you go
there's
with.
only so many cards out there that can work in that. So it
That's
really,
true.
I think it mitigates analysis paralysis towards the end. You might have some early on,
That's
but
true.
I think that 45 minutes would be fair for people who've played it before. There's a really nice, clean, like authentic, like organic vibe about it. That I would say, like, is like we always talk about like It's a Wonderful World just being like very simplistic but straightforward, and I feel like this one has a pretty similar vibe of it's like you're gonna pick your cards and you're gonna play them in your tableau. Yes, there are things that can alter and play that, but there's really not a lot of player interaction, so you're really just working out your tableau for yourself.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a good comparison to It's a Wonderful World for us, where it's just kind of a simple game, but it just I don't know makes a lot of sense and it's fun. It's pure.
We
So
love
yeah,
it.
we've got an unboxing video on this one if you want to see. It's mainly cards, so if you want to see kind of some of the card artwork in this one, which I think is pretty good artwork. I like the colors quite a bit.
I think the artwork is good. The cards are a little thin though. So
Cards are a little thin, but
What are you gonna do?
You're gonna be shuffling them. I feel like sometimes that helps make it shuffling easier because you can kind of have a little bit more bend to them. Or sometimes really thicker cards are like kind of stiff.
yeah.
But it's not the biggest deck, so maybe that
No.
helps too.
Yeah, that's true. And if there's expansion content coming, who knows?
Who knows? This will have 25 expansion. It'll be the next Dominion.
Amazing.
Calling it here first, folks.
Wow.
It is the next Dominion.
You heard it here, folks. Probably 10 years later, after the channel maybe has more than 2 followers.
And there we go. But yeah, subscribe if you want us to have more than 2 subs. Like the video if you liked it. Otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.